Friends, Iran is currently facing very serious internal challenges. Massive protests are being witnessed across the country. Meanwhile, a warning has come from US President Donald Trump that if Iran's regime violates the rights of protesters, the United States will intervene inside Iran. This raises the question, is a coup about to happen in Iran? Will the revolt we are seeing right now turn into a revolution? Is the Islamic Republic of Iran moving toward regime change? Let us talk about this. Protests in Iran are not something new. But this time, the situation is becoming more serious. Public anger is continuously rising. Ordinary people, suffering from economic hardship, have come out on the streets in large numbers. Shopkeepers in markets are going on strike. People are extremely angry due to the rising cost of living and weak economic policies. The last time protests of this scale were seen was during the Mahsa Amini movement in 2022. At that time, the controversy was related to the hijab. This time, rising inflation, the falling Iranian currency, and weak economic policies of the Iranian regime have brought people together. People are uniting and protesting against the government. Unrest is spreading across the country. Iran's currency, the rial, is continuously falling. At present, it is trading at a historic low against the US dollar. Due to the decline in the value of the rial, imports have become very expensive. The prices of basic necessities like food, fuel, and medicine have increased sharply. People are struggling to afford them. Their savings are steadily shrinking. Due to massive sanctions imposed on Iran, the country is facing difficulties in selling its oil in the international market. As a result, Iran is unable to earn foreign currency. Public trust in the country's economy and government is declining. Because of this, public anger has exploded. Protests are being seen across the country. Pressure on the Iranian regime is increasing. Inflation is rising rapidly. Food prices are going up. People are facing fuel shortages. Electricity and gas cuts are being reported. All these factors are increasing public frustration. People are losing confidence in the national currency. Seeing their savings decline, people are converting their earnings into dollars, gold, or other assets. This is increasing the demand for foreign currency. As a result, the value of the Iranian currency is falling even faster. Shopkeepers have also joined the protests. The Iranian regime and officials are being described as shameless and dictatorial. The protests that began with economic anger are now becoming political. Protests are spreading beyond Iran's capital, Tehran. They are spreading to other cities as well. Slogans are also being raised against Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei. Some people are even demanding the return of the Pahlavi monarchy. That is why it can be said that the situation is becoming serious. The issue is no longer limited to economics. Now, the legitimacy of the Iranian regime itself is being questioned. In any case, the year 2025 did not prove to be very good for the Iranian regime. Iran suffered one setback after another. You may remember how Israel and the United States attacked Iran's nuclear and military sites. You may also remember how Iran's influence in Syria ended when Bashar al-Assad's pro-Iranian regime was removed. On top of that, Western sanctions on Iran continue. Then, during the Gaza war, Israel significantly weakened Iran's proxies. Senior leaders of Hamas and Hezbollah were eliminated. So Iran has faced major setbacks. This has significantly reduced public confidence in the Iranian regime. As we know, the real currency of any regime is public belief and confidence. In Iran's case, this belief and confidence are declining. People's trust in their government is weakening. That is why massive protests are being witnessed. When the Iranian regime tried to suppress these protests, US President Donald Trump issued a threat. He said that if a crackdown is carried out on protesters, the United States is ready to rescue them. This has increased psychological pressure on the Iranian regime. Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian has acknowledged public anger. He has accepted that people's economic grievances are valid. He has said that people's concerns are justified and not meaningless. That's why Pezeshkian has promised reforms. But the problem is that real power in Iran does not lie with the president. It lies with the supreme leader. So even if President Masoud Pezeshkian is moderate, we shouldn't forget that supreme leader Ayatollah Khamenei is a hardliner. During the Mahsa Amini protests as well, the Khamenei-led Iranian state carried out a heavy crackdown. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and the Basid militia were deployed to control protesters. The Iranian state responded with maximum force, and somehow the Iranian regime managed to survive. This time too, reports are emerging of force being used against protesters. In response, US President Donald Trump has again threatened the Iranian regime. Iran has responded by saying that if the United States interferes inside Iran, Iran will target US bases and troops in the region. According to Iran, the unrest inside the country is due to a foreign conspiracy. Iran claims that the United States and Israel hijacked economic protests and gave them a political color. According to Iran, this is an attempt by foreign powers to bring about regime change. When both sides use threatening language, the risk of miscalculation and escalation in the region increases. Will there be a coup in Iran? It would be too early to say that. It is true that in 1953, the CIA orchestrated a coup in Iran. Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh was removed. At present, we are not seeing such an operation overtly. However, the United States is definitely building economic pressure on Iran. By taking advantage of the protests, the US is also building psychological pressure. Protesters are being encouraged. We already know about the strategic alignment between the United States and Israel. So yes, efforts are being made to weaken the Iranian regime. But calling what is happening a full-fledged revolution would be premature. A revolution happens when power completely collapses. What we are seeing right now can be described as a revolt. Protests are happening inside Iran. There is also external pressure from the US and Israel. But regime change will not happen until the opposition becomes unified. At present, Iran's opposition remains fragmented. Moreover, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps is still loyal to Khamenei. Security forces are still loyal to the regime. Then there is also no clarity about what alternative political system would exist after Khamenei. There is no roadmap for what would happen after regime change. That is why it is too early to say that regime change is imminent. But yes, it can be definitely said that the regime is under extreme pressure. The Iranian regime is stressed. However, it is still holding on. A coup can happen only if nationwide strikes are sustained for a long time. Such strikes would have to completely paralyze Iran's economy. Cracks would need to appear within the security forces. A unifying political vision would need to emerge, around which people could rally. Until that happens, periodic protests will be suppressed. The Iranian regime has not forgotten 1953. It remembers how the CIA removed an elected leader and restored the Shah. This bitter memory is still intact. That is why Iran reacts aggressively against foreign interference and prepares accordingly. The Iranian regime will go for controlled de-escalation. It will try to bring in some economic reforms. Along with this, some level of crackdown will also take place. The end goal will be to gradually subside the protests. The Iranian regime does not want a long and painful standoff. In the worst case scenario, mass casualties could invite US and Israeli intervention. The regime's primary focus will remain on preventing that and surviving. So, it cannot be said that Iran's regime is collapsing right now. But it can be said that cracks are emerging within the regime. The Iranian regime is weakening. The United States and Israel are ready to leverage this opportunity. Hypothetically, if regime change does happen in Iran, it will not be a small local event. It will shake the entire West Asia region. A power vacuum could create chaos. Civil conflict could emerge. Rival groups could fight to capture power. Iran could face instability similar to Libya or Syria. Religious, ethnic, and military fault lines could open up. Oil politics in the region would shift. Israel would be the biggest winner. Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, Iraqi Shia militias, and others would weaken. It would be a strategic win for the United States, as Russia and China would lose an anti-US partner. Gradually, if stability returns to Iran, it could be positive for India. The Chabahar port could be revived. India could engage with a new regime. India would gain better connectivity with Central Asia. The pressure of US sanctions would reduce. Energy imports would become easier. India would engage with whoever is in power. Regional tensions might reduce. But the risk of instability would remain. Like Syria, Iran could face long-term uncertainty. Internal power struggles could continue. For now, Khamenei's control remains strong. There are no clear signs of immediate regime change. Due to the lack of a unified opposition, it appears that the Iranian regime will succeed in suppressing the protests. But in geopolitics, you never know. Anything can happen at any time. For now, immediate regime change does not seem likely. But if the situation suddenly deteriorates in the coming days or months, it will not be surprising. In that case, the entire regional dynamic will change. Let us wait and watch.